Joining us now in Studio B, the BYU defensive coordinator, friend of the program, Ilaisa Tuiaki. Welcome back to Studio B.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Friend of the program.
Yeah.
All right.
It's been a minute. How you doing?
It's been a while. Yeah, doing well.
You're in the middle.
Hanging in there.
You're in the middle of recruiting too. So there's sort of multiple seasons, right? There's the actual football, you're calling plays, organizing defense, and then we're getting the next group of guys in here that could play immediately, some in a couple years, right? So how's recruiting going?
It's been good. Road's been good, and we're coming up. This is going to be the last recruiting weekend, and I mean we're kind of just finishing things off. You know, we ended up signing 16 kids in the early signing period, and so we only got a couple of spots left, and you know there's a couple of kids that we're going after, just this preferred walk-ons and guys that we think are good fits for the program. That you know, a lot of them are diehard BYU fans growing up that want to be here, and so we're excited about bringing those kids in.
How do you manage the emotions of dealing with teenage kids, essentially, that you invest so much time and effort into, and then knowing that some of them will say yes and some of them will say no? How do you manage all that?
You know, shoot. Early on in my career as a young coach, there was one particularly that just killed me. I mean, it was just like it was hard. It just crushed me when he ended up going somewhere else. And you know, I think it was then I just kind of realized, you know what, it's not my right. It's really not my right to say what's best for them as far as where they go. And so I think our job is to find the best fit. And if they think that it's the right fit for them, then you know, giddy up and let's go. But I stopped getting that emotionally attached to kids just because I think more of being respectful of their decision to just decide where they want to go. And you know, some kids it ends up working out, and some kids you actually hear from later. It's like, Coach, it's not what I thought it was, and I actually want to come there. And so I think it's just about keeping good relationships and respecting kids' ability to make their decision for their future, and really after it's all said and done, you want the kids that want to be there, you know. And I don't think that you ever want to try to convince a kid into coming, and you know, right at the end of it, and he feels like you owe him something when he's there. And I mean, you want the kid that'll you know, cut his left arm for you, or run through a wall. And there's a lot of kids in the program that are like that. And I think BYU's been known for a lot of years having that type of kid, and I think that's really what we need to do is just recruit that type of kid.
The transfer portal is new with the NCAA. Players can put their names in, and you as coaches can go in there and say, okay, let's look at that guy. How has that perhaps changed and added to the recruiting responsibilities you guys have now?
Yeah, it's added a different dynamic. It's you know, for us, it's, you know, getting into grad school here is difficult, and so it's harder for us to get a kid. And sometimes we're looking at you know, whether or not that kid's going to make as big of an impact as another kid. And, you know, I think we've all got our different thoughts and ideas and philosophies about it. But the truth is, we're in the job that we're in, and sometimes getting a grad transfer that is going to come and make a difference might not be a viable option, just depending on getting into school and all those different things. And so it's added a different dynamic to recruiting, and we definitely have to, you know, be aware of just who's out there and who wants to come and different things. But it's you know, I think just for BYU, even when we're not talking about grad transfers, just it's a little bit different when we're recruiting kids here.
Is it easier to identify those guys in this way, though? Because previously it was like the dad would call while the kid was on a mission, or the mission president reaches out or something. It was kind of informal, right?
Yeah, you know, it's a little different. You know, it's a little different, and I don't know how long the NCAA is going to keep this, and I know that.
You think it might not last?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I think it's an interesting thing that they're doing right now. I know a lot of head coaches have concerns about it, and I know a lot of programs have concerns. I mean, a kid that graduates and has a decent GPA, not being able to transfer and get somewhere else, I think is going to be end up being a hard thing for kids that are leaving. You know, and so I just wonder if they're going to change things up, and you know, I've heard that they might end up requiring a school to commit 2 scholarships to the kid.
Wow.
And you know, that's just kind of
one
talk.
for a graduate school, you're saying?
For a grad transfer. You know, and so that puts a different dynamic on it too, because it's okay. Are we willing to put 2 scholarships to a kid that you know, potentially might come in and change our program? And you know, some schools will and some schools won't. And so, and then you know, some kids will decide, you know what, I think I'm probably just going to stay. I think there's still a lot to be said. I think it's just kind of a trial period for what they're going through, and I'm sure that there's gonna be some changes with it too. So
BYU defensive coordinator, who is worth 2 scholarships, Ilaisa Tuiaki, with us in studio. B.
Like a 10-cal wife from Johnny Lingo.
Absolutely.
He's a 2-scholarship player.
Yes.
Yeah.
No questions asked. We're roughly 5 weeks removed from a really impressive performance in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, a resounding BYU win that allowed the Cougars to finish 7-6. Now that you've been removed from the season for a little bit, how do you feel the season went overall?
I thought it was, just defensively, I thought there were, battles every single week. A couple games that we look back at that feel like, as a coaching staff, we might have done things differently. Probably particularly the 2 weeks back-to-back, Washington to Utah State. Knowing that Utah State was on a bye that week, and we played late at night and got back home at 3 in the morning and turned around and played on Friday. In hindsight, would have changed the way that we did things just in prep, because, I think that we just weren't fresh for that game. We looked slow. And then, for the Washington game, I talked to several people about that, but we went in with a different game plan defensively, and it was kind of just to maybe put Band-Aids on things that we thought needed it. I think we were missing Dye in that game. We were missing several guys, and just decided that we were going to kind of change things up to protect certain people. And after we got back in the locker room, I thought I would have rather lost 50-0, but basically do what we do and feel confident about it, than to go in and kind of feel like you're kind of tiptoeing around certain things. And it just wasn't a good feeling after that game. And then leading into the next one was even worse. And so really that point in the season, I thought was it sticks out to me in my mind, is to look back and just feeling like should have did certain things certain ways. And then obviously the Utah game, we had that one. We needed 1 first down or 1 stop or a nice punt, and I think that we're walking away with that one, and everybody's happy. But and I would have felt really confident, coming out of halftime, thinking, okay, we need 1 stop, we can get it on defense. And during that time, it just wasn't working. We weren't getting the stops, and there was just, obviously they were making plays and we weren't. And so I look back at that game as well. That one I couldn't sleep for 2 days after that one.
Mm. And you have like 7 kids. That's probably a contributor to the.
They slept. They were just. They didn't even know we played, right? And that's the cool thing about
waking up, man. That's what I mean.
That's the cool thing about coming home. Sometimes it's like you get these games that are emotional, just beat down, and you come back and there was like, "Who'd you guys play again?" Like, "Oh, we just played Utah." "Oh, did you win?"
Did you win?
"No, we lost." We're like, "Oh, okay." Then just the conversation's over, right? It's like, okay, all right. Keeping things in perspective here.
Yes. So you just talked about things that you wanted to see better. Let's talk about what happened that was good, because it was a really good defensive season. You're top 30 in the main 5 categories that we outlined earlier, which is points per game, yards per play, yards per game, rush yards per game, pass yards per game. Those are the 5 that kind of tell the story. I know you guys value other numbers as well, but you're top 30 in the country in all of those. How did you feel the defense played as a whole with the whole season?
Yeah, as a whole season, as coaches, a lot of times it's about making the corrections, and so we're always kind of seeing things, sometimes, in a negative view, even though we don't see it like that. It's kind of like, okay, what needs to be corrected? But no, absolutely happy with the way the boys played this year. I thought that we were stout, as a defense throughout the whole year, and thought that the boys played hard and the coaches coached hard. And it was a good defensive effort on our side of the ball. And just you're looking at those numbers and saying, I'm like, yeah, definitely happy with the way that they played. Always room for improvement, but was happy about that.
I know you value passes of 20+, rushes of 10+, top 10 in both of those. So that was a big deal as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. You were telling me about those stats before the show started, and that's good.
It's great, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
great.
better.
It's great. It's good. It's good.
Let's call it what it is.
You know, with the bowl game and then the little break, then going right into recruiting, haven't really had time to sit down together. And
That's what we're here for.
yeah.
So you did a good job.
All right. Appreciate
Tom,
it.
give this
Thank
man a raise.
BYU defensive coordinator Ilaisa Tuiaki, who now needs a raise and is worth 2 scholarships.
He's had 2
And
scholarships.
10 cows. Okay.
10 cows.
as well.
I'll take either. Preferably the cows, probably.
Hanging out in Studio B. I think a lot of people are wondering what the linebacking core is going to bring back this year. When you lose a guy like Sione Takitaki, and he has made a splash nationally, we'll talk more about him in just a moment, but what does the linebacking core look like with Zane Anderson returning and Isaiah Kafusi, both those guys off of injuries, and then whatever else is there? How does it look?
I think that the linebacker crew looks really, really good. I do. You know, they're young. There's some kids that we got in there to play pretty late, like Max Tooley and Peyton Wilgar and Jackson Kalfusi, I think, is going to be a good player too. He's done a really good job. But those guys spent majority of the time on scout team on the other side, and so they didn't really get very much coaching on our side. But towards the later part of the season, I mean, they looked really good, and we've got a mid-year kid that just joined us that is phenomenal in the weight room and I mean, looks the part right now. He looks like he probably should be a senior. Alex Miskella. I'm really excited about him and just those guys' development during spring is going to be huge. But getting Zane back is going to be huge, as well as Isaiah and their experience. I think that those young pups are going to bring a lot to the table.
Sione Takitaki has made a splash the last couple weeks at the East-West Shrine, gets laid out of the Senior Bowl. We've been discussing, will he be drafted? If not, he's going to make it somewhere in the NFL. How pleased are you with his development?
So excited for him, yeah. And he's, he ended up sitting out the year. What was it? 2 years ago,
I think.
right? Yeah, 15. Sat out the year. Ended up coming back with just a different mindset and just a different. He was just everything kind of just lined up for him. I mean, he ended up getting married during that time, and his life just lined up, and he married himself a 10-cow wife as well.
No question.
Alyssa, yeah. And shoot, man, he was fun to coach. I mean, you have a lot of kids through the ups and downs of the season. Sione, you couldn't tell if it was a game, and if the game was on the line, or if it was just practice. I mean, he played the same the whole time. And it was fun to coach him that way, and I think that scouts will see that and love that about him, and I think that he'll, hope that he gets a shot, because I think that he'll impress a lot of people.
Coach, great to talk to you as always. We would love for you to sign our Sailor Coug flag before you leave, if you don't mind, and let's give you some BYU Sports Nation karma.
Yeah, for recruiting, big weekend.
To get more sleep.
Are the guys going to the basketball game, I assume? Is that on the agenda? They typically do? The LMU game on Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there you go.
I'll see you guys there.
All right, Coach,
Yeah,
thanks so much.
Appreciate the time.
Appreciate it.
Ilaisa Tuiaki in Studio B.